Hello and welcome back to MTO Sociology. I hope you've all had a great summer. I just want to say before we start how fantastic the start back to this year has been from all year groups, from 9, 10 and 11. I've seen lots of really good work and lots of enthusiasm, which is fantastic. This video is going to be the start of what I hope will be a regular series where I recap what we've been doing across all 3 year groups, so you can see what you're doing every so often, every week or two, and check you understand everything. Any questions, as always, please leave them in the comments on the classroom. Come and find me at school, anything you need. So we're starting in year 9 with what is society, and the first thing that we need to look at is cages. So these 5 terms: class, age, gender, ethnicity and sexuality. You've got your definitions on the screen here, and you can see these are different ways of describing people, putting people into groups and thinking about what that means. So anytime you're not sure on a question or you're not sure what you can talk about, think cages. Can you talk about people's class, their age, their gender, their ethnicity, and in the minority of cases their sexuality too, and apply the sociological principles, apply the topic to them. The last major part of this week for our introduction to sociology is having a look at this question. Discuss how far you agree that people are all the same in Britain. So here we're looking at our own views, we're looking at our own perspective, who we are, we're comparing it to other people, looking at why sociologists might be interested in comparing it, what may have changed over time, practicing our extended writing, and we're trying to introduce some new terms. So it might be things like social inequality and poverty, it might be the gender pay gap and conjugal roles, who those affect, so whether that affects different genders, different ethnicities, a combination of the two, meritocracy and social mobility, and then practicing our skills of peel, making a point, backing it up, explaining it, and then linking it to wider points to the question itself. And this has been done really well. I've already seen some excellent arguments, so keep that up. And of course we'll self-assess and peer assess these as we go throughout the year. So starting off, the biggest question is, are people all the same? No, they're not. Where do we divide them into different groups? What's the point of that? What can we show over time? And what does that mean for sociology? In year 10, we've started with our education module and we've gone straight into why do we have schools? And the best perspective to look at for that is the functionalist view. Obviously, functionalists are very positive about education. There is the bridge analogy of the primary socialization from your family, moving into adult life. This comes from the secondary socialization of education. So we looked at the ways in which education can provide social mobility, how it can teach us right and wrong, how it can teach us how to fit into society, how to succeed, and what that means for the rest of your life. So we've looked at the views of Durkheim and Parsons, we've looked at various stats about education, and we're going to go on and examine why Marxists criticise this view and why education doesn't have the same outcome for everyone, and why not everyone has the same experience of education. The big move is the change from no education at all for most of society to making it compulsory. Compulsory state education means it's required by law, of course. So functionalists are very, very positive about this. They see education as a great leveler, as a great way to improve society and to pass on the norms and values of society beyond just the narrow scope of the family. So you've made extensive notes on this, and we've looked at building up a revision bank before we've even started. Make sure you go over this because this will inform everything you do for the rest of the module. And then one of the questions at the bottom here, education is more important for socialization than the family. You want to be considering what's the difference between family conjugal roles and what happens at home and what happens at school, and the different types of socialization such as peer pressure and labeling and things like that. Here we have some 3 and 4 mark answer questions on different parts of education. So if you want to have a go at these, then I'll happily mark them. Also, they're a good way to test what you've learned so far. We haven't looked at Willis yet, but we will do this in the coming week, and the Marxist criticisms of that, and obviously his work with disadvantaged boys and working class boys and how they experience education. The hidden curriculum is a key idea in education, the things that aren't taught out of textbooks and taught necessarily by teachers as part of the exams, but the things you learn from schools and how to fit in and what to do. That's the hidden curriculum. Durkheim's view of education is obviously quite old now, so the criticisms of does that still apply, and does everyone have positive experiences of education, followed by what the education system is actually for. Does it teach us how to get a good job? Does it provide social mobility? Does it socialise us, etc., etc., etc.? Year 11 have started on social stratification, which is the final topic for paper 2 and for the whole GCSE. We started off by looking at the 4 different types of society. So the Indian caste system, based on the Hindu religion, the feudal system introduced to Britain by the Norman conquest, something the historians in the room will have studied in depth in the last couple of years, slavery in America, and then this modern idea of the 7 class systems of Britain. We looked at how things over time have changed very, very slowly, and how the features are very, very similar, and asked questions around power, authority, the use of violence, the use of money, the influence of religion, the influence of class, of ethnicity, going back to Arcadia's idea again. What does it mean for people at all levels of the societies? Why did they change? How did they change? Have they changed? And what it means to put people into groups, and how useful that is as a sociologist. I've read some really, really good answers in books this week, so well done for that. The final thing for this week is some key literacy for Year 11s. So these key terms you want to start using in your answers, start using in your classwork. So achieved status comes from meritocracy, social mobility, the status people have achieved. The aristocracy are the upper nobility in societies, usually closely connected to the monarchy, titles, land, money, that type of thing. They have an ascribed status. The caste is the different levels in the caste system for a Hindu society. Class has all manner of different meanings, but the wealth, power, status of a person, where they are in society. The elite, currently roughly 6% of British population apparently, if you take the 7 class system. It's the people at the very top earning the most money with the highest cultural capital. Feudalism and the estate system goes back again, as we said, to the Normans. Slavery, fairly self-explanatory, the use of treating people like livestock, as it were, owning them, making them work for you without paying them. Social inequality can be anything from money to resources to education, any element of society where there is an imbalance and people have more than others. Functionalism is the key perspective we've looked at, so Davis and Moore are the studies that you need to look at, and the idea that stratification is a universal necessity, it's needed for every society. Income is how much money comes in, quite literally. Inequality is any difference. Usually people mean money when they say inequality, but it can be other things. And stratification, the putting of people into different groups, essentially. So check you know those words, see if you can use them as often as possible, and make an effort to link them to all of your prior learning, even the family, education and crime module. Well done again everyone for a great start to this year.